Welcome to our Ideas in Love, Life and Leadership. And I am absolutely delighted to have with me today two very, very special people that I love very dearly, Sam Wilde and Lisa Hopper. And I'll leave them to introduce themselves in a second. But they are very, very special people in their own right. But also for me, they have been my coaches for the last almost 2 years and have been fantastic guiding lights to the changes that I want to make in my life. So I could not think of two more wonderful guests to have on. It's probably been a little bit late in inviting them to join, but I'm delighted to have them here today. So Sam, Lisa, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to talk to me. And on the 1st of December, which is your month off. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me. Who wants to kick off? Who wants to introduce themselves and tell all our wonderful listeners about yourself?
Well, before anyone jumps in, I'm going to say, as if you weren't already one of my favourite people in the world, Rebecca, you've just taken #1 spot because you introduced me first and I never get introduced first. and everything we do, it's Lisa and then Sam. So I'm like, yes, Rebecca, I love that.
There you are. It's because I've met you in person, you see, Sam. You've nudged up a little bit now. I haven't got to Edinburgh. Glasgow yet. Keep saying Edinburgh. Glasgow. So, Sam, why don't you go first then and introduce yourself?
Love to. Yeah, thank you.
Can I just say before you do, there's a really mischievous part of me that now wants to go, can I introduce Sam? So I get to go first.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I don't want to introduce myself. Lisa, you're going to regret this because then I'm going to introduce you.
I love that idea, though. That's great, Lisa. Yes, introduce Sam to us, Lisa.
What have I done? Okay. Sam Wilde. So Sam and I met on a coaching program a number of years ago. And the thing that really drew me to Sam was how much love he has for his family. So he's an incredible coach. He's very talented at what he does. He's gone on this incredible journey of transformation for himself and for me, for his wife, for his family, for his clients. Like Sam is someone who is at a level that I don't think I encounter much, if at all, really willing to create a new relationship with discomfort. Really willing to hold his hand up and put his ego mind to the side and say, I'm owning this. And it might be uncomfortable and it might be messy and I might get this wrong. But if I feel safe, I'm really willing to try. Yeah. And so that's what I've grown to absolutely love about Sam. There is nothing that I volunteer us for, because I'm pretty good at doing that, that Sam ever blocks or, where I always feel supported. So Sam is someone who, no matter what you want to do or want to create in life, he will be an incredible cheerleader for you and fully believe in you. Mm. And he will do whatever he needs to do on himself to be able to maintain that level of love and cheer for you. So I would say that. So it's that unconditional loving that I think I saw in Sam for his family. And now I'm seeing it being directed in a much wider way.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And absolutely my experience of Sam as well. And I think that unconditional love, and also that the work that you do together, and Sam for yourself on that discomfort that Lisa talked about there. I think that's one of the things that I found most powerful about working with you, is that because you've done that for yourself and you're continuing to do it, you hold that space so beautifully for me to do that, and for other people that I see in our community, which is so powerful. Because it always comes from that place of I know this place, I know how this feels, and it's okay to go there. So yeah, beautiful introduction. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. And there is so much more I could say.
Yeah, but it's not the Sam show. So
and none of it's PC. None of it's PC or appropriate. So we're not allowed to say it.
Stay tuned for the outtakes.
yeah. So Sam, is there anything you want to add, Sam, to Lisa's introduction?
Well, there's lots I could, obviously. No, there isn't. And, you know, I think what I want to say is actually it's a huge part of how I would introduce Lisa, actually, because our partnership, like she knows, has been a real experience and a real journey for us. Like, it's been incredible, really incredible. And who knew, Lisa, when my flies broke?
Love that story.
That talk that I did, where me and you, the whole point of this story, but so my flies broke just before I was about to do a talk on this coaching thing we were in together. And so I had to stand up in the room and my flies broken. And fortunately, about a month before that, I'd made the commitment to start wearing underwear again. So thankfully that happened at the right time. And Lisa came with me to buy some new trousers, and we just kind of clicked and really saw that there was something we wanted to do with coaches, and something that there was an opportunity there for us to do something together. And what Lisa shared, the transition for me between kind of loving my family more than anything, but really seeing that it's that love, when allowed to flourish in me, the love for me, essentially, when that's allowed to grow and to flourish, everyone sees and feels that. And that has been my biggest challenge, which for me, now I'm going to introduce Lisa, like for me, that's been one of the things that has stood out for me most with her, is how patient is one thing, but how loving it feels and how loving she is to want the very best for me. Like, she sees it before I do often, right? So she'll see something that's possible for me, or that's going on for me, and she'll call me out on it. And I found that really, really challenging to begin with, because I don't like to be wrong. I don't like to feel embarrassed or like somebody knows more about me than I do. It's this kind of weird pride thing I had going on. And with Lisa, what's happened is, because there's been such a deep willingness to love and appreciate and want more for me, that's allowed me to grow exponentially than it ever has done in my life. And the things I love so much about Lisa, and the things I appreciate so much about her, are her directness. She's always very direct, but never in a way that feels, well, no, that's not true, actually. I was going to say never in a way that feels judgmental, but when it does feel judgmental, it's because I'm creating it that way. And Lisa gives me the space to see that, which is, again, it's so transformational just in her way of being. The other thing is that, and I have nothing I've ever shared this with her, but one of the things I appreciate most about her is that she sees things so differently to almost everybody, even when we're having coaching together or with our coaches, or she's in a conversation with someone. She sees things in a way that I don't always see. And then she'll feed it back. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even see that. Like, that's incredible. She had this really beautiful way of seeing and creating things differently. And I think also there's a way in her being, trying to describe this, there's a way in her being that she's so far ahead of most people in terms of how she sees things, that I think sometimes people assume she's thinking things one way, but she really isn't. Because there's so much space and loving and acceptance inside of her. Really incredible, really, really, truly incredible. And she's so willing to bring that to our relationship and to you, like you, Rebecca, right? Because you're in our coaching school. You know what that's like and how it feels to have that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think to top it all off, I think just to say that, and again, coming to the topic of this conversation, right? Love, life, and relationships, or leadership, but in relationships, love and life, is that in our relationship and in Lisa's willingness to be in this relationship, what that created is complete safety to own our own experience, and to show up as love for each other and people in our world. So yeah, I mean, she's right, isn't she?
She's all right. She's okay. That one.
Does a good job.
But yeah, I mean, equally beautiful, and everything you said there is my experience. And I think when we first started working together, it's the first time I'd had two coaches. I felt very indulgent. I'll have two of you, and so I've seen from the outside, if you like, that relationship, that partnership between you two develop over that time that we've been working together, and then in the school, which we'll talk about in a second. And for me, not only all those things that you've just said are modeled for me as a client of yours, but also one of the things as a coach that I found really I was going to say aspirational, inspirational, and all of those things is actually seeing how your relationship, how you work together, and how you are developing as coaches has grown in the time that I've worked with you. It's right there in front of me, and I know how much time you guys commit to your own growth, to your own work, to your own development, and some of the amazing coaches that you work with and you bring into the school. But just seeing that develop almost in front of my eyes is just magical. One, for the love I have for you two, but also just to see what's possible as a coach, to see that in real time almost play out in front of me is really powerful. And I know the other coaches in the school, they might say it slightly differently, but I certainly think they see it as well. And the relationship between the two, the way that you two guys work together is just, it's just incredible. And an experience that, kind of inspires me as to, I'd love to explore that idea myself at some point in my coaching journey, to have that relationship and work with someone, because I think it just brings such a powerful combination to the people that work with you, because it's so complementary but so different. And yes, I agree with you about what, with Lisa, about always being so far ahead. And there are those moments where I see Lisa and I know she's going to say something and I think it's one thing, and then it's something completely different. That's just like, what? Which is just, so much fun and so wonderful, and challenging at times, like you say, Sam. I think that was one of the things that I really loved about you guys when I first met you and started working with you, is and why I said yes and then started saying hell yes to everything, is I felt challenged when we were talking. It was uncomfortable, but in a really powerful way. And it's something I talk to a lot of people about now that I work with, is, if you start a conversation and it feels a little bit uncomfortable, that's probably where you need to go, right? Because that's where the work is, that's where the transformation is. So beautiful introductions, thank you. And all about love, of course. Love is central within everything that you guys do, and is so it just shines through. I shared a post yesterday which for me just summed it up, which is just love more. Where else can we love? Let's do that. But do you want to tell us a little bit about the school? Because I think this speaks to the leadership piece, really, of where you guys have taken your own experience, that journey you guys have been on working together, and the work you're doing yourself into this school. It's such powerful leadership within coaching. So do you want to tell us a bit about the school?
Yeah,
definitely. Can I before we do that, can I just add something on what you were?
No.
What I was saying to like, Sam has left the call.
Of course you may, Sam. Please do.
It was just something that, and I'm really aware how important this can be for people listening to this. So I'll try and articulate in a way that makes sense. You were talking about love and how, and this comes into leadership as well for me, love, life, and leadership, and this will flow into the school massively. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I've seen that's most important about love is to recognize that it has to start with yourself. And one thing I see often is we will, as people, not just coaches, go out into the world and really do everything we can to love and to unconditionally love other people. And what I've seen for myself about that is that's one level of things which is phenomenal. And I don't want to take away from that at all. And there's more. In that when we are able to recognize and to bring out all of our own personal gifts, our experiences, and not hold back, that is when love really comes alive. Because, you know, Lisa will share as well, one of the things that I struggled with our relationship was, I do everything, I'm going to try and do everything her way, because my way feels weird and really abstract and just really different. But the more I've been willing to do that and do things my way and find a way with Lisa to be able to do things my way, the more of me I'm bringing out and loving. And so therefore more of me people get to experience. And I think it doesn't matter whether you're a coach, an entrepreneur, a recruiter, whoever you are, whatever role you are in, I'd really invite people to consider bringing all of themselves to their life, because that is what has you experience life totally differently and in love.
Yeah,
I just wanted to add that because I think it's an important point.
It's a really important point, and it's something you guys point me back to, you know, all the time, because it's always a work in progress, right? And it is probably the thing that has made the most difference to my life. You know, I know Sam's got me doing a daily practice at the moment about really truly appreciating myself and everything that I've achieved. And one of the things that you guys that I've found so valuable in the time we've worked together is always bringing me back to, you know, it's you, it's okay, it's, you know, bring all of you, bring everything. Yes, have a look at it if it's something in there that doesn't quite feel aligned with how you want to be or what you want to create, but it's still okay. And I absolutely agree with you. It starts with ourselves, you know, and that is a practice for most of us, because it's not our default position. Our default position is to put it out there in the world, right? Which, as you say, is fantastic. And is a favourite word of mine that I use a lot. And yeah, we have to look to ourselves as well. So yeah, really important. Thank you, Sam.
It's huge for leaders, what Sam is just sharing there. So whether you're a coach or not, like if you've got a leadership in your job title or not, doesn't matter. But what we really noticed, our experience was, when Sam tried to do things, we'll say my way, there was a contraction. And there's a real willingness to still contribute, but it wasn't bringing out the best in Sam. And when he felt safe enough to ask for what he needed and really tune into, like, what has me operating my best, and it's spaciousness, it's going out for a walk, it's like my creativity flows when I am So when there was a allowance for that to take place and that to happen, there was a shift in Sam, and the contribution and the energy and everything moved. So for any leaders who are listening, have a look at, like, how are you listening to yourself? How are your team experiencing you? Like, they are trying to do it your way and be you, and is that actually going to bring out the best in your team? Ever really slow down and sat with your team and ask, like, how do you operate at your best? What does bring out the best in you? So there's just something really beautiful about that, and it's been a lived experience for us that we can share hand on heart and say, this contributes to high performance, not getting someone to do it your way.
Yeah. As you were saying that, all I could see was that sense of contraction for everyone. Like you say, you know, in a team, you know, everyone's feeling contracted because they're all trying to do it a way that's not their way. And certainly for me, again, you know, your learned experience and what you've brought into the school is, as I've brought more of, or all of me, as we talk about, and appreciate the gifts that I bring, since I've been doing that, has been the most successful and easiest time of my you know, practice, my coaching practice. And it needs to be a lived experience to recognize it. And yet the idea of, you know, the school and what you're doing with coaches is to point them towards it, right, before, you know, so that they can see that, which you do so beautifully. Let's all get expansive. I can just feel all that contraction in everyone. It's, you know, it's really tangible, isn't it? When you go out into the world, you can see it all over the place. So leads us nicely into the school. I do have a small child running around, by the way, so if you can hear things in the background, that is the small child. He may come and say hello in a minute. But yeah, tell us about the school, because this is where you bring everything that you love and that you want to share. Here he is, want to share with people into the school. Thank you, Patrick. So yeah, tell us about the school.
Do you want to start, Sam?
Yeah, sure. But I think actually, what you were just sharing, Rebecca, is really a huge part of the school, which it's of course, when we started our coaching school, it was really for us to help coaches create a practice in a way that they absolutely love doing, to create a practice through serving rather than by other means, right? And what we've seen as we've begun to do that, especially as obviously this year is the first year of the school, and we're now recruiting for the second year. What we're really seeing is the shift from not only how we do something, not only what we need to do to get something, but how we are doing it, who we are being whilst we are doing it. And what we were just sharing there about leaders and bringing out the best of people, bringing out the truth of somebody. Who are you? What are your gifts? What are the things you love? What are the things that absolutely light you up? What is it that makes you excited and really drawn to this work? Like, to really bring out that from somebody so that they can be in their loving whilst they're doing something. And that's a huge part of the school. Who we are being is honestly most important thing we can consider, because it creates everything. So if I'm doing the doing in my loving, in my excitement, in my passion, in a way that I love doing it, I'm going to create miracles in my life. I'm going to create incredible results in my life. So one of the things me and Lisa do in our school is to really focus and work on how the coaches are being whilst they're doing the work. And honestly, what's so funny about it is we started off at a kind of 50-50 split originally. We're like, I reckon this would be a 50-50. So 50% is going to be what we need to do, and 50% will be the how we're doing it and who we're being. And honestly, we can see already, just in the short time that really it's only been 8 months since the school started, that the shift has the shift has really gone to a focus of at least 90-95% of who we are being, because it's really everything. And so the school is a place to master yourself, to bring out all of your own truth and all of yourself into your work, into your life, to your clients, into your serving, and to have that be the thing that impacts somebody's life. Because that, as you said, Rebecca, about me and Lisa, that is the game changer. That's when we create the most impact, is when we show up in a way that's full and alive. So yeah, that's, in a nutshell, that's how I would introduce the school. It's a coaching school for coaches, but with a huge focus on self-mastery and living the most incredible life.
Yeah. And as a student of the school, I can certainly agree with everything that you said.
That's just as well, because it would have been awkward if you'd said that's not my experience at all. What school are you talking about?
But I think when we were working together before the school, I came to you to talk about my business, and again, our experience of working together was 99.9% about me, about how I was being, and then the impact was in my business. And the same as the experience in the school is, yes, it's much more about the being and being fully me and bringing all of what I want into the world in all my different guises. And the impact has been in my coaching practice, because that's the magic, right? As you say, that being fully in everything in our lives, the impact will happen, but it's looking at it differently. And that's certainly something that I have seen in my life, and also in my coaching practice, and in how I'm working with clients. And that, for me, I'm just loving that journey that I'm going through. And it's a great school. It is a great school.
We love having you there.
Oh, it's a great place to hang out. I never thought I'd enjoy going back to school so much.
One of the things that I would add actually is about your contribution. We're huge ambassadors for supporting individuals. And what we've really seen with bringing a community together is the love and support that comes from going through an experience as a group. And what we're really seeing flourish is the connections in the community spirit of everyone cheering for each other, everyone encouraging, everyone loving and supporting each other. And if you're in your self-doubt, if you're in your procrastination mode, if you're in your overwhelm mode, you have a whole community of people there ready to be with you and lift you out of that. So that the time spent in that space just seems to be less and less, or less significant. And so I want to share that as well, because it felt like when we went into the school, we had this vision of there's a massive gap in Britain, especially the UK, I think, if I'm comparing to America, but there's a huge gap over here where coaches come out of coaching schools, certified, qualified, ready to go. And then how do I make a business out of this? Like, I don't know how to create clients. It feels super uncomfortable talking about money. I should just give away this for free. Like, how do I actually do this? And so Sam and I had a vision of, we want to support coaches who are phenomenal, who are really impactful and have the ability to change people's lives from being with them. But at the moment, the block is having someone be in front of you so that you can do your magic. So that was it for us. It was like, we want to create a world-class school that really focuses on that. And everything that the two of you have shared has been our experience of it and how it's evolved. But the other thing was around the community. And it's just been wonderful to see a community building in that way and supporting each other. There's not an unhealthy competition. There's not, it's like, and again, that tunes into who we're being. Gosh, I'm so abundant that I don't have to keep things for myself. There's no scarcity, or there's less scarcity. It's like, that's what we're creating here. This ability to cheer for each other, this ability to share, this ability to give, because we ourselves are so in touch with our ability to create wealth, our ability to create clients, that it's a no-brainer that we wouldn't help others. So I just wanted to add that bit in as well, because it feels really rich, that part of our school.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a massive. I mean, some of my key values are, connection and community and collaboration and cheerleading, as you know. So it's and I think it is a practice. Again, like Sam said about letting go of that pride or that ego that's like I want to be right, or it needs to be my way. Is working with other coaches, all of which have got their own unique gifts that they bring, and their styles and their approaches and their practices and what they look like. It's a great place to practice and play, not getting caught up in I have to do it a different way, not getting caught up with the scarcity or competition, and also not being able to be open to what they do and how they do it, and look at it without the need of making that right and what I'm doing wrong, but just being willing and open to look at it and think, oh, okay, how could that complement what I'm doing? How could that enhance what I'm doing? Does that make sense? There was a real nervousness around that at the beginning of the school. I really felt that, and I have felt at times that competition. It has sometimes felt, a little bit like, oh gosh, I've got to, not compete with them, but there was that sense of, am I doing as well as them? Are they doing differently? Are they making more proposals, etc.? But actually practicing it has meant that's all gone. I just don't feel that at all anymore, which is really exciting. And the other resistance I felt when I first joined the school was around the report. So we have a report that we have to put in each month. Do we have to do it for December, by the way?
Yes.
Today, and
Day.
on Christmas Day, yeah, the feedback comes on Christmas Day, Sam. Brilliant. So we have this monthly report that we complete ourselves, but you guys give amazing feedback on. And I mean, the amount of commitment and time you guys put into the school in terms of our, outside of the workshops and the calls that we have, when we go into the group and ask questions and put forward proposals and you guys look at it and our reports. I mean, the level of attention and detail and love that you pour into them is extraordinary. But I felt real resistance to that monthly report. I come from a recruiting background, KPIs, monthly reporting. And I was like, hang on, I'm running my own business. I don't want to tell anyone, my business, I don't care. And actually, once I got past that, and really looked at how powerful what you were asking within that report, about how are you creating conversations, how are you creating clients, what can you see in what you've done this month that is helpful for you. That has been so powerful. And something that I share with a lot of the people that I work with now, and not just coaches, but people who are running their own business, entrepreneurs running solo business where they haven't got that accountability or that reporting line. Actually, that report is like a core that I use with other people, because it's that looking at what you're doing in a different way and seeing in it, not making it wrong. And I think there was one month you guys called me, because that's the other thing, by the way, anyone listening, that these guys do really well. And you'll know if you're someone who coaches with me, I'm getting better at, is they so call me on my bullshit. Right? So one month I didn't put my report in and they called me on it. Because they, Sam and Lisa could see that actually I needed to look at that report in a different way and not make it wrong, not make it bad. Just look at it and go, okay, what does that tell me? What from that can I then use that's helpful? And it was a month where actually I couldn't, or I felt like I hadn't been in the business, hadn't been in my practice, but actually when I stopped and looked at it, I had. So that was helpful. And that's something I'd have totally missed and just made it bad and skipped past. So, those sort of structures that you've got as part of the school as well, and the practice we have of doing it on a day in, day out basis, I think is something that's quite unique as well, and really powerful.
Gary, our coach, Gary Marlowe, he would say to us, we always know what's next by what's here now. And that was what was here now, Rebecca. So it's like, hey, there's some monthly reports not being submitted. Let's bring that to the attention. Let's bring that into the awareness. And then we get to really dive in and see, like, what's stopping you? And then we hear, usually it's like, we hear the surface level stuff, and then we get into like, what's really stopping you and how are you relating to that report? And I think with some people, and this is one thing that I've really noticed about myself, that has been a journey that now feels like this is quite natural for me to do. I don't beat myself up very often. So let's say, here's the monthly report. I haven't done it. I have a choice to hide, to beat myself up, to say, oh, I'm not doing it because the figures don't look how I want them to look, to then give myself a hard time for not doing the monthly report. I have that choice. Which is going to have me off the playing field for longer, because I won't want to create another situation where I'm going to just end up feeling shitty about myself. And learning to love messiness, learning to love failure, learning to be kind, learning to radically self-accept. Like, that has been huge for being able to stay on the playing field, get back onto the playing field. It's been massive. So that's a big part of the school, is around slowing down and seeing what is here now. What is the belief that you are carrying about yourself? How are you treating yourself when you believe that to be true? And all of that came from one monthly report. So it's, when you talk about the expansiveness, it's like, that's how we do things. It's just being really present and not having anything be missed. I mean, there probably is stuff, but it's like, if we're seeing something, there's nothing inside Sam and I that are going to be like, oh, well, let that go. It's like, whoa, come back. Is there something here? And it's fine if there's not, we'll move on. But that's the school agenda really creates itself. We have an idea of what is going to happen over the period of time that we're together, and we are really alive in the moment to what's present, and we're going to go there. experienced this. There's been times where we've had a workshop and a full day planned, and then there's been so much come from just the morning session, that round that we do. And it's like Sam and I at lunch, we're going to go away and we're going to mix things up because this is what's really relevant for you guys today. That service is at the heart of everything, I would say. And that's living service right there.
And which leads me nicely to something else that I love about you guys is the school is how you know, through your own experience of working with some of the best coaches and seeking out those coaches and talking to them and is bringing those into the school. I mean, you know, just you two in the school is powerful. And then you bring in these amazing coaches that you're working with or that you've come across who have a whole other level of living service that you talk about there, and that loving service, which is just, I mean, that's been mind blowing for me. Some of the guest coaches we've had in, and, you know, the conversations we've had in the school with them, how they show up in, you know, with us for that time that they're with us, you know, it's just been so impactful. And then, of course, that, you know, it's leading us to interact with those coaches, to learn more about them, to read their books, to listen to their, you know, recordings and podcasts and all this sort of thing. Just, again, it's this expansiveness from you bringing those people in with not that agenda of competition or scarcity or, oh, you know, we don't want other coaches coming in because they, you know, what happens then? That I just think is just, really in service to us, and something that the school has just been amazing for. And some of the coaches are just incredible to have met and you know, worked with, you know, really, really exciting. And you've got more for this year. So 2021 school, going back a few years now, old school.
I feel like you've been in our school
for 21 years.
20 years.
It's a great school. I'm a slow learner. So that's that. We graduate in April, and then I'm already signed up for the 2022 school, because this for me is an ongoing journey. You know, I think as coaches we all appreciate that. You know, it's not done. It's you know, and coming back to that expensiveness, you know, I want to continue. And for me, it was a hell yes to carry on with you guys. So you're enrolling now for the 2022 school, and you've already got some amazing people, amazing coaches coming in as guests and that you're working with. So tell us about what you're looking forward to for next year's school.
Question. Well, you know what's really interesting about that question, Rebecca, is that I haven't really given it too much thought. What I'm looking forward to. For me, I'm excited to be where I am. I'm excited that I'm so excited that the idea of having and being in another school and having this one running and seeing, like you said, seeing the coaches who are going to be there, not just the guest coaches, but the coaches who are already signed up to do the school. Like, there's already this incredible community. So if I was to answer that question, it would be, I'm excited for the unknown. Like, we went into this year thinking we knew some stuff, and then really what we've seen is it's the unknown which has created the real magic. So for me, and it sounds so abstract and annoying, doesn't it, when people don't really answer the question. So I'll say the thing I'm most excited about is that the unknown of what is going to be created through, as you said, through serving, full commitment to serving these people. I am excited to see what happens, because I've got a feeling it's going to be unbelievable. It will be beyond belief. Absolutely.
Yeah. I knew as soon as I asked that question that you'd come back with an abstract answer.
Can't help it. Lisa describes me as abstract these days. I feel like I'm turning into something.
But I actually love your answer.
Once.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, no, I love that answer, and actually it's something, you know, I'm learning to love more and more the unknown, you know, and as you say, that idea that, you know, in service we will create something that is going to be incredible, and, you know, and create it together. As you say, I think the point you made there about not just being excited about the guest coaches that are coming in, but actually the coaches that are in the school, you know, that we all co-create. You know, we talk a lot about co-creation. We all co-create what this is going to be for this year, as the cohort has this year, as you say, because you guys have responded to who we are and how we're showing up. And I love that idea of creating as we go. So Lisa, answering my question in a less abstract Sam style.
Well, do you know what? Maybe my words will be less abstract, I don't know, but the answer is the same. So I genuinely, one of my most favorite things about having a coach is the unexpected return that I've had on my investment. So we've gone in with like, here's what we want to work on, or before Sam and I were working together, it's like, here's what I want to work on, here's the outcome that I want to achieve. And it was pretty clear. Some things were pretty clear about what I want to get from this. And as a result of working towards that, but working on the being part, there is so much that has evolved for me. And Gary would say that his work, he works with Steve Hardison, and he says there's not a single area of my life that hasn't been touched by the work that I've done with Steve. And I feel the exact same way about the work that we do with Gary, about the work I've done as a partnership with Sam. And with my previous coaches as well, there just isn't an area of my life that hasn't been moved in some way. And I didn't go in asking for that. I've not once said I want to be coached on relationships ever. And yet every single relationship that I am in, and I'm talking about friendships, parents, family, you know, everything, there is something incredible that has shifted in that space for me. Relationship with myself, like everything. So I would absolutely say, like, the unexpected, oh my God, you can't put a price tag on it. You just can't. So I would say that. And then I would say the other thing for me is there's something super cool when someone sees who they really are for the first time. And then they start to deepen that more and more. It's like they just lift the lid off. Oh my gosh, I never thought this was possible for someone like me. That reconnect you with who they are, but maybe never even realized. That sudden, like, a belief in themselves like never before. For me, that's always a magical moment. And we see that in our school around. It's weird, like the fear feels different. Like, I'm more visible. I'm not hiding anymore. I don't get it. And it's all the work that we've done to create that magical moment where their thoughts about themselves are just not restricting them as much or anymore. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So I
I like the unexpected. There's a quote post coming out somewhere from what you've just said, Lisa. It will be inverted in commas and put out in hot pink soon, because I like you say that unexpected result of the work that we do. I think, you know, it's so true for me. You guys know that, you know, and absolutely the coaching that we have done has touched every single part of my life and continues to in unexpected ways. And you know, being in the school as we are now, that seeing that, like you say, people see themselves for the first time and then overcome it. I mean, visibly, I'm seeing that with all of us in the school, you know, out there in the world. You know, it's visible, it's tangible, and it's so beautiful to see. And I get another whole year of it, which is fabulous. So thank you so much, guys. What a rich and expansive conversation, as always. And when I realised I had extra time in my diary this month with you guys, that immediately puts a smile on my face. And it's great to be able to share you guys a little bit more with my world. They see the impact, and they see the results, and they see the work that they see the impact of the work that I'm doing. But to actually introduce you guys to the world a little bit more is really exciting for me. So thank you so much for taking time out today to talk to us. Enjoy December. It's your month off. So enjoy. Have a fabulous, fabulous Christmas. And I look forward to seeing you in the school in the beginning of January.
It's a pleasure, Rebecca. Thank you very much for having us and sharing your world with us.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
I am a woman, not here to please you. It's time to move on, 'cause my time